Hey everyone, this is Joey G with Railfanning, and welcome to Railfanning Highlights 2010 to 2020 Part 1, where we railfan the Northeast. Here is a blizzardy day, and we have a Norfolk Southern SD70 leading a intermodal. And now we're in 2010. It's SC40-2s pulling a trash train through Boundbrook. And on the port riding secondary, we have a K train with a X-Conrail leading with some UP power, including this SC90 Mac before Norfolk Southern took it over. Next train, we have another Norfolk Southern EMD. I think it's SC50 leading that 33K. And then port riding secondary with some CP rail power and some DME power. Those K trains were awesome. They always had heritage units on them or something like this, which was absolutely a surprise. And our friend, who was an engineer at the time for CSX, he pulled the circus train. We went out 15 degrees to watch him go by. This is in 2011, I believe. And it was just a cold day, but a fun day. In our next video, our friend Ronnie, he was an engineer for over 30 years on Conrail, and now he is a... Now he passed away recently in the past couple of years from cancer, but we're gonna have a video of him here in a Conrail, painted a Jeep. Just a smile on my face. He's such a great guy. That was a cold day. That was before they painted the locomotive. And here's a SC50 YN2. I think this is Q409 heading to Philadelphia, and the line splits here from the shared assets all the way to on the Trenton line or on the Lehigh line, Norfolk Southern, but we got the YN2 SC70 leading, and it's going nice and slow. And what was cool about here in New Jersey, I had a great set of railfanning friends, and we had about 30 of us each weekend that would come, and I used to take public transportation. I would travel 3 hours one way just to railfan for a day. So 6-hour round trip on public transportation before I had a car. And funny part is I only lived 30 minutes away from New Jersey. Here's the Pennsylvania Railroad E8s coming through on the Port Reading Secondary. Had a nice return trip. We called them on the way in, and they switched around to Manville, New Jersey, and came back. That was cool. He was in meet, and it's the first time I was seeing it. SC70M-2 leading. Some BNSF power, 22V, I believe. Shaving a haircut by a Jeep on New Jersey Transit. He was running back and forth that day, so that was a nice treat because he had the P23s. Here's the deadline along the New Jersey Transit. All these old F units, man. It's a shame. They were vandalized. And here's a little interesting thing coming out of Penn Station. An Amtrak made its way. This is Pearl River, New York, and we had a friend at a train club up here, O-Scale Train Club, and we got an FP48 coming through. They ran those on this line. It was not really a fast-paced line for New Jersey Transit. And this is Phillipsburg, New Jersey, the Black River Western, I think. And this was their Polar Express train, but it had a nice set of equipment on it. I liked it. I had to share it. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a fun trip, too. Some nice power on him. The next video is really interesting. I took an Amtrak trip up to Albany. In Albany, we're waiting for our train to come in, and there was a bottleneck. We had the Lakeshore, the Empire Service, and another train that was all bottlenecked, and one trying to go into Albany. So it was about a 4-way meet in Albany, New York, which is, I'm sure it isn't rare, but it was the first time me seeing it, so it was pretty cool. My good friend, when I was working on the Adirondack Scenic Railroad, he was a dispatcher up in Albany for Amtrak before he went back to CSX. And so I was able to see the dispatch board for Amtrak. It was pretty cool. And the conference room up there in the tower. And the next video is still in Albany. Was the FRA inspection car was coming through Albany, which is pretty cool to see. Amtrak is running a special train that day. And the next video, I think, is Croton Harmon in New York. Croton Harmon is on the Metro North, and this is the yard going to Croton Harmon, which has a lot of neat stuff. Passenger train going by. Yeah, it had a couple of coaches, I guess for I don't know if excursion or the inspection cars, maintenance of way, but some older Metro North cars there. And we'll see a few more stuff from Croton Harmon throughout this video. It's cool seeing a lot of the stuff that's through here. That's in Staten Island, New York. That's a maintenance of way train working. And here's the New Haven P32, I believe, on the Metro North. And Hastings on Hudson, along the Hudson River. One of my favorite paint schemes. Oh, the toasters going through Linden, New Jersey. Remember those toasters? And the HHP8s. And there's the HHP8 here. We don't see those anymore. Now they got the ACS 64s, which we'll see the first run of the ACS 64 in this video. We're in Union, New Jersey on the Conrail Shed Assets, and there was the Diversity in Motion locomotive passing by. I've seen all of them numerous times. And here we're coming through Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, and we have the New York Susquehanna Western Yard, and there's the plow and caboose. And here's my first heritage unit, and this was the Penn Central one in Union, New Jersey. Norfolk Southern and CSX both ran through there along with New Jersey Transit. Here at Ridgefield Park, we got a SC40-2 183B, and that's and another Diversity in Motion locomotive. And so they said I caught all of these locomotives in New Jersey and Nashville, actually. Here are some GP38 NS engines that are switching on the Susquehanna, and that's Vernon Street crossing. North of CP5. There's Boundbrook, New Jersey, with a double Jeep and FP40H. I mean, you don't see it anymore. And see what the next video. Ooh, this was a very special 17 degrees. I went to Union, New Jersey to catch this last ship of a CSX train, BNSF CP power and KCS power. And these were the crude oil trains that came from, I believe it was like North Dakota and all the way to Philadelphia. Here we're back at Boundbrook, and there is a SC70, I believe it, a SD70 Ace. You don't see those on CSX anymore. And this was cool. There was an SD60i X Conrail on that 22V. There's a whole bunch of us Railfanning. This is also Boundbrook. Nice lash up of GE E&D power. Q438. Here's the ACS 64 coming through Metuchen. The first run of the ACS 64. Yeah, it was very cold that day. We went out to catch him. We're back in Union, New Jersey now, and they had a CSX Safety Train with a SC40-2 leader on this guy. This was really cool. This is when CSX was fun to watch in New Jersey. Oh no, it was a SC50, looks like. Yeah, that's a safety train. I forget the next video is. Let's see. Oh yeah, brand new rebuilt Canadian Pacific, all EMD power on that. Look at that, an SC40-2 1 and 2. And this is Perth Amboy. New Jersey. And then right after that was a Heritage 3 scheme. The Heritage 3 scheme BNSF engine, which came out. This was really cool. This Morristown and Erie special passenger train that were running through Bound Brook. And my gosh, I think like 20, 30 people were chasing this. You thought the big boy was coming through town. This was the big boy at the time. Especially for New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Nice set of passenger cars on this guy here. And those Morristown area engines are long gone now, unfortunately. And here's some top hats. Remember the Norfolk Southern top hats? A duo of them on a 33K. Here is the nickel plate Heritage going through Piscataway, New Jersey. And I think it's a SC50 trailing that. Wow. And then here we have a nice set of power with the Spirit of Magnolia on him. This is a set of CSX engines. They're going back to Oak Island Yard. Yeah, Spirit of Magnolia trailing. Yeah, here we go. This is through Bound Brook. This had the Wabash trailing on this Norfolk Southern train. That was a great catch. And here at Bound Brook of SC40-2, another YN2. Nice way from the engineer. Listen to the SC40-2 rev up. There's some Maintenance of Way. Now I have a lot of videos of Maintenance of Way, and we'll see some stuff here. I still have other videos coming out too with Nashville Part 1 and 2, and other videos of just Southern rail fanning, all the cool stuff I saw while I was all around the country rail fanning. And there's some interesting stuff here. I like Maintenance of Way equipment. And here's a cool meet with two Norfolk Southern trains. There's the intermodal coming through Union, New Jersey, and then heading west is this 17J garbage train. And man, it made a big dust of snow. Union, New Jersey was cool to rail fan because they had some heated platforms and a bathroom. So you could be there, and I was there like when it was like 5 degrees outside, but I was inside, staying nice and warm inside there. Here's the Staten Island Railroad. This is the New Year's Eve Express, and this is the last day of 2012, heading into 2013. And don't forget, in 2014, I moved to Nashville, so this is all previous to Nashville. This is actually after Nashville. This is 2016, and it had an XST90 Mac Union Pacific engine trailing, and the Dash 940Cs. This is on the River Line, and this is all EMD power. It had 2 slug units up front and a looks like a genset going through on the River Line. This is milepost 28 on the River Line, just south of Haverstraw. And that's by where my aunt lives. That was the thing. I heard that train from 4 miles away, climbing up the grade. That was another crude oil train right behind that E&D train, and man, that was a great catch. This is right behind my aunt's house. Here's another one with the SD70 Ace leading. This is all the same day. And I didn't have a car, so I really couldn't go anywhere. But behind my grandmother's house, my aunt's house, you could walk up to a certain part. Behind this train is a scale car. This is on the River Line in Bear Mountain. And here back in Bound Brook, And this had a nice set. It had a high hood. Look at that. A high hood and a Jeep trailing. This is 2014. 2014 SC40-2 YN2 leading a maintenance of way train. My friend was mad because you couldn't get a video or picture. And this was really cool. A CSX locomotive was using the interchange track with the New Jersey Transit, which is very rare. That usually happens in the middle of the night, and he was running during the day. Here's Ronnie. God bless you, Ronnie. He always wore Hawaiian shirts, always took off for work when I came into town. And he stopped the train on the main line just to say hi to us. And then dispatcher told him and said, "Where's your position?" He said, "I'm on my way." He was a really good guy. He had a nice, big dog he used to bring out when he was off from work. He used to hang out with us. That man was a railroader and a big rail fan. Big kid at heart, too. And he wore Hawaiian shirts all weather. Didn't matter what it was. And this was interesting because this is when the SC70 Aces were coming about, and the SC70AH was making an appearance on Union Pacific, and so there's some nice power on this train. This was this Norfolk Southern 212. And here's the Juice Train, CSX Juice Train from Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville, Florida. That's when CSX ran solid juice trains. Now they're combined trains, and it's boring now. But here on this train, there are some older Tropicana boxcars, as you can see there. Now we're in Manville, New Jersey, and we had this huge high and wide special coming through on Norfolk Southern. It came on Norfolk Southern, and it was going to Philadelphia, so they brought it and reversed the locomotive in Manville, and then CSX was going to take over. That thing is monstrous. I definitely don't have room on my layout for that kind of cargo. It's too big. And this was some nice power on him. He had a SC70M and SC70, or was X-Conrail leading? I think it's S70. This is on the southern tier going up to Buffalo, but this is New Jersey, the start of the southern tier. This is an amusement park train. This was, I want to say 2015, 2016? No, it was 2014. It's right before I moved to Nashville. But look at all that stuff. We see all the rides and all the equipment and the trailers. It was really interesting to see. Definitely different from the circus train. Yep, and I had to include most of this because you don't see this train anymore. And there's not many videos of the amusement park train. And the rest are all just flat cars at the end. It's a pretty interesting train. And then after that was a New Jersey Transit Jeep leading a train. Chrome Harmon again, but the cool part is there's the two little yellow switch engines that I'd never seen before, and next to that was a new those new maintenance of way diesel locomotives, but had new Haven paint scheme on it, which was cool. It's kind of like that Staten Island locomotive. Yeah, those little things back there. It's pretty interesting. And heading into Chrome Harmon. That's a beautiful tower. That's how it's been since New York Central. Here's the Adirondack Scenic Railroad. That's when I was filming their promo video. And I was also a trainman and a track worker with them. And I had a lot of time in that cab of that F unit. It's ex-GMO engine. Here's the Mohawk Adirondack and Northern with some ex-BC Rail locomotives. Man, it was so cool. I don't know if they even have those engines anymore. I haven't seen videos of it. And this is in Utica, New York. We had the CSX at the change of the Mohawk, Adirondack, and Northern. Also had Amtrak that came to the station, and our Adirondack Scenic excursions. Oh yeah, SC-70 Ace. Before CSX got rid of them in Utica. This is in Utica. A lot of cool stuff through here. And here's a train pushing into Utica Yard for the Mohawk, Adirondack, and Northern. It had a Burlington Northern engine on it. This is in Dandara, New York. This is my train pulling in. This is number 1845 RS-18U ex-Canadian Pacific locomotive. And it's the first locomotive I've ever been in a cab. And my friend is a trainee as an engineer. He's pulling the train into town from Utica. But he had to go a freight yard speed because they had a couple of ballast cars on the back. And the crew wasn't very happy because they had to go only like 20 miles an hour. Some of the old baggage cars, these were originally Canadian Pacific and old Via cars. And nothing was here original. That was New York Central, except for the New York Central ballast car that's on the rear end of the train. And this was not the Mohawk division, but the Adirondack division of the New York Central. And there are the cars back there. That was one of the best conductors I ever worked with. I don't know if he's even alive anymore. They got a New York Central. That's original. That wasn't repainted, wasn't it? Anything like that. That's an original. That was so cool. And this is on the great old machine. We were trimming down the brush along the right-of-way, and so I had some videos of us working on the Gradle. This is Utica, New York, 11-unit lash up through here. And man, I am telling you, the rail fans that were hanging out that day, they were having a blast. There was train after train on the Mohawk division. CSX and Mohawk is very busy. I don't know about now, but it was busy then. And this was a great lash up. SC-40-3, YN2 SC-40-2, a CEFX genset, a old Union Pacific U-boat. I mean, come on, look at that. And an SC-70. And there's the Atomic Train locomotive from the Mohawk, Adirondack, and Northern. The movie Atomic Train had this locomotive in the movie. Old BC Rail locomotive. Still had the dual ditch lights on the front. And here is the Salad Bowl Express coming through Utica from California. I remember watching videos of the Southern Pacific version. Now UP runs the show, and one went north, one went south, or east or west, whatever, the same day, which was pretty cool. Oh yeah, I think SD50 YN2. Yeah, that's why I filmed that one. And now we're going backwards into Crone Harmon because our Amtrak engine died. This is another trip. That Jeep is going to help us out. I'll have a video later on showing us pulling that locomotive out of the way. It was pretty interesting. And here we got the video of that F unit. The EL, not FL9s or whatever they were called. Man, they haven't ran in years, and that was one sitting there. I think they use it still for excursion runs or business trips. Here is 1845 for the first time showing up to Dandara, New York, and it's just painted like the day before. And I was the first crew to be on that locomotive. Here we are back in Utica. Old E&D lash up. SC-40-3s was just coming in. Here, yeah, here's a Metro North Jeep pulling our dead Amtrak engine out of the way. Well, the whole train was dead. It was so hot in that train. It was like a bunch of tin cans being heated by a fire. And this is the Buckingham Branch Railroad in Virginia. And had to see, painted locomotives, some heritage paint jobs here. They weren't as friendly. I think maybe because they recognized me, but I had to film. I felt over the old caboose there. Now going further up, this is the Shenandoah Valley Railroad. It has some really nice equipment. I have some photos at the end of the video. Here's the CSX switching out with all EMD lash up here. Gosh, it's in Maryland. I can't think of where it is in Maryland. It was so much fun. It begins with an S, I know that. I'm having a brain fart right now. And here's the Norfolk Southern Yard. Had a BNSF and 2 UP locomotives. This was 2018. This was shot. And the next few videos are going to be all of Altoona. And there's some cool stuff in Altoona. This next one is 2017 SC-80 Max, before they were rebuilt. By the Union Station here. The next video, we have the Virginian Heritage Unit heading east towards Altoona Yard. We caught this guy in Crescent, and we chased it all the way back to Altoona. Next shot is a meet at Galita Tunnel. I have waited 5 years to get this shot, and finally we're able to get a meet of the trains going in and out of the tunnel. And to the left, if anybody doesn't know, that was the original tunnel to the left. And there was a rebuilding expansion project on Conrail to allow double stacks over and to double track the tunnel, and so they rebuilt the tunnel to the right. This was cool. Again, this is 2018, and I think there's an SD60 leading. And we thought they were retired. And then after that was a meet of another eastbound on Horseshoe Curve. And it had a ex-Burlington Northern engine on him. And a top hat. Yeah. All these guys are retired in a Jeep. I forgot about that Jeep. It's pouring rain. We caught the Central New Jersey coming out of Gallitzin another time in Horseshoe Curve. I had a good friend, Michelle, who has cancer. Her dream was to railfan and watch trains over Horseshoe Curve. So every time I was performing from Nashville, we performed in Pennsylvania. We would meet up and we'll go around different spots in Pennsylvania. That was the Amtrak Heritage Unit. I forgot which number that was. 104, I think. And here in the middle of the night, back in this is now 2013. That was also 2013. There was some locomotives being shipped and going east. I believe they'd been on a ship towards Australia. I think this was 10A was the symbol of this train. It was raining too, and cold. Running a northern hopper. Horn happy for that crew. Horseshoe Curve. And here's a set of SC-80 Max. And back to Crescent. We caught every SC-80 Mac this day. This is 2013. My friend TJ and I went on a weekend trip to Altoona first time. And here's the other set going east. And my friend TJ gets so excited, you'll see him here. And I was in awe. These are all ex-Conrail engines. Yes, yeah. We were so happy. He realized he was in the shot. Here's the veterans Amtrak unit going into Altoona. This is all the same day. I'll tell you one thing. I believe this was like the first week it was running. And this is the very first train we ever caught in Altoona, 2013. Bunch of ex-Conrail locomotives. SC70s, SC60Is. Or all three SC60Is. I think it was all three SC60Is. All ex-Conrails. Here is Harrisburg. The high hood being switched around, works the yard. And there is the Reading Heritage coming off the Rockville Bridge. And this is now outside of Pittsburgh, and you have the old Pennsylvania signal bridges. And I had to get a shot of this because those signal bridges, I don't know how long they're going to last on the routes. And here's Pittsburgh Conway Yard. We have a three-way meet of trains going in and out of the yard here. And this is in Harrisburg again, and this is a Florida East Coast SD70M being switched around. I don't know if it's becoming GPU power or it's going to be added to a train. This was fascinating. Here's a meet up on the Rockville Bridge. This is pretty cool. And here, the Harrisburg Bridge was very, very high. It was flooding out Bridgeview Bed and Breakfast at the time. And this is going to be our last video for this video here. I got some pictures here to show you guys. Well, the first picture here is, let's see, which one is it? Oh yeah, this is in Albany. That's the shipping with the CP Rail shipping locomotive. That's Old Tower in New Jersey from the New York Central. And here, that was the Progress Rail in Shenandoah Valley Railroad. And then over here, we got more B&O equipment in the Shenandoah Valley. Here's a really cold Norfolk Southern worker switching out the Mandeville yard when that big high wide came through. A couple of my buddies all had Conrail shirts on. We're Railfanning Boundbrook. And here's an I think this is Boyerstown, Pennsylvania. And here's number 1835, the RS-18U that became on the Rondike Scenic Railroad, number 1835. And cool thing about that RS-18U is that Rapido just made a model of the exact locomotive. And I worked on that engine. I just take a picture. I was working on that engine in Rome, New York in the shops. So that was really cool. And here's a photo of me as the trainman in the cab of 1845, which was pretty cool. That was a lot of fun. And then for here, there's a bunch of us Railfanning Piscataway, New Jersey, in the snow. And then our final picture is the crew of all of us here with 1845 when it's first painted. And that's a very memorable photo because a lot of the folks there they're still around. Some passed away. And that was a great weekend, my first weekend on the railroad. So guys, thank you so much for joining me on this long video journey. And this is Joe G with Railfan X. And stay tuned for the next set of videos of Railfanning highlights from 2010 to 2020. Take care.